Ambassador Zekth clicked his crystalline appendages nervously as he reviewed the datapad for the third time. The Galactic Council meeting hall buzzed with the usual mixture of atmospheric gases and translator static, but today felt different. Today they were discussing the humans. "The motion before us," announced Chancellor Vex from her floating platform, "is to formally recognize the Terran Federation's unconventional diplomatic practices." A ripple of unease passed through the assembled delegates. The Carvani representative, Ambassador Thos, rose on his forelegs and gestured with two of his arms while the other two held his speaking staff. "Chancellor, with respect, these humans are Deathworlders from a Class 13th hazard planet. They breathe poison, consume toxins for pleasure, and their idea of recreation involves hurling themselves from great heights with fabric attached to their backs." His voice carried the typical Carvani disdain. "The Galactic Accord clearly states that such species are inherently unsuitable for alliance building. They're too aggressive, too unpredictable." Zekth found himself speaking before he realized, and yet Ambassador Thos, your own nephew, serves aboard a human vessel." The hall fell silent. Thos's eye stalks twitched, a sign of extreme discomfort among his species. That was an emergency situation," Thos stammered. "Young Kess was stranded when the Void Pirates attacked the mining colony. The humans happened to be nearby." "Happened to be nearby," Zekth repeated, consulting his datapad. According to the incident report, Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Unlikely family received the distress call and immediately diverted from a lucrative trade route. They arrived 3 days before any official rescue vessel could reach the system. Not only did they save young Kess, but they've kept him aboard for 2 years now, teaching him their engineering techniques. "He was traumatized," Thos protested. "His parents died in that attack. The humans should have transferred him to proper Carvani authorities." Chancellor Vex's tendrils swayed with interest. "And why didn't they, Ambassador Zeketh?" Zeketh smiled, an expression he'd learned from humans. "Because Kess asked to stay. It seems Captain Chen's crew had already lost 2 engineers in the rescue operation, and young Kess showed remarkable aptitude for human technology. More importantly, the crew voted unanimously to adopt him under Terran family laws. The Severian delegate, a being of pure energy contained in an environmental suit, flickered with confusion. Adopt? But Kess isn't even the same species. How can this be legal? Terran adoption laws are inclusive, Zekth explained. According to human legal precedent, family is defined not by genetics but by choice and commitment. They have a saying, blood makes you related, but loyalty makes you family. Ambassador Thos slumped into his seat. This is exactly what we mean. They're irrational. No species adopts random aliens. Actually, Chancellor Vex interjected, her own research pad glowing. According to this data, humans have formally adopted 1,247 individuals from 73 different species over the past decade alone. The number hit the assembly like a shockwave. Several delegates began speaking at once, their translation devices struggling to keep up. Order, Chancellor Vex called. Ambassador Zeketh, perhaps you could provide context? Zeketh nodded, standing, to address the full assembly. Honored delegates, I've spent 5 years studying human behavior. Initially, like many of you, I believed them to be typical Deathworlders, aggressive, territorial, dangerous. But I discovered something remarkable. He activated the holographic display in the center of the chamber. Images began cycling through. Humans working alongside Zentorians in zero-G construction. Human doctors treating crystalline collective hive queens. Human teachers instructing mixed-species classrooms. Humans don't form alliances, Zekth continued. They form families. When the hegemony wars left thousands of orphaned juveniles across 12 systems, the human response wasn't to establish refugee camps or processing centers. Individual human families opened their homes. Captain Miranda Vasquez adopted 17 Altarian cubs after their world was glassed. Engineer Klaus Hoffman took in 9 aquatic syndicate tadpoles and learned their liquid environment technologies to properly care for them. The display showed more images. Humans celebrating alien coming-of-age ceremonies, teaching alien children human games, learning alien languages and customs. They don't see other species as allies of convenience, Zeketh said softly. They see potential family members. Dr. James Wright, a xenobiologist, spent 6 months modifying his home's atmosphere to accommodate his adopted methane-breathing wraith daughter. Commander Lisa Park learned the sacred burial rites of 7 different species to properly honor her mixed crew's traditions. Ambassador Thoth stood again, his voice uncertain. But surely this is just sentiment. What practical benefit does this provide? Zeketh's smile widened. Ambassador, human ships have the lowest desertion rates in known space. Their crews fight with a ferocity that has become legendary, not because they're ordered to, but because they're defending family. The humans call it pack bonding, and they do it with everyone, even their machinery. I've seen a human risk their life to save a malfunctioning AI because they considered it a crew member. The chamber erupted in discussion. The concept was almost incomprehensible to species that formed alliances based on mutual benefit, territorial agreements, or shared resources. Chancellor Vex restored order with a harmonic chime. So you're saying that humans have essentially adopted half the galaxy's displaced populations? Not just displaced, Zeketh corrected. Last month, Captain Elena Rodriguez's crew included a reformed pirate, 2 former hegemony soldiers, an AI that achieved sentience, and a juvenile space whale they found injured in a nebula. All considered equal family members, all willing to die for each other. The Severian delegate flickered again. But this explains their military effectiveness. If every ship is essentially a family unit. Exactly, Zeketh confirmed. Humans don't fight for territory or resources. They fight for each other. And when you attack one human ship, you're not just fighting that crew. You're threatening the extended family network they've built. Other human vessels will come. But more than that, so will their adopted alien families. Ambassador Thoth was quiet for a long moment. Young Kess. He calls Captain Chen Mom Sarah now. In our language, that term is reserved for biological mothers only, but he says it with such love. That's the power humans bring to the galaxy, Zeketh concluded. They don't build empires or hegemony. They build something far more dangerous to their enemies and far more precious to their friends. They build family. And nobody fights harder than someone protecting their family. Chancellor Vex looked around the chamber at the thoughtful faces of dozens of species. The motion before us is to recognize human diplomatic practices. All in favor? The vote was unanimous. As the delegates filed out, Ambassador Thoth approached Zeketh. My nephew sends messages every week now. He says the humans are teaching him something called dad jokes. Apparently, Captain Chen's husband insists it's an essential part of human engineering training. Zeketh chuckled. Another human habit he'd acquired. Ambassador, I think young. Kess is going to be just fine. Outside the hall, the stars twinkled with the lights of countless ships, many of them human vessels with their incredibly diverse, fiercely loyal, completely impossible families aboard. The galaxy was changing, one adoption at a time.